What's up, guys? It's been a little while since we've seen each other, but hopefully now I can be getting back on track. The weather's getting warmer. I've been doing a lot more riding. So, well, by a lot more, I mean at least once every couple weeks instead of once every 3 months like I was in the winter. But anyway, hopefully I'll get back on track with making some more videos. I've been doing a little bit of traveling down south. If you're not following me on Instagram, please go do that at BeRAD Moto. You'll be updated on everything I'm doing, so even if I'm not posting on YouTube, you'll be able to see on Instagram what I'm up to, which is usually some pretty fun things. I want to say something real quick. Huge thank you to Havoc Racing for sponsoring this first hair scramble event that I've ever done, or first off-road race in general, I should say. They contacted me and offered to sponsor the race. I've had their goggles. I only got to try them once up before the race, and they did great. But now that I was able to try them through this race, which was 2 hours long, I can say I'm incredibly impressed with them. My other, I won't say the name of the goggles, but you can probably figure it out pretty easily. They're not as comfortable. These are a lot wider. They fit my face better. They have this awesome nose piece here. The padding that goes on your face is super nice. You can tell they're like pretty wide goggles, so they look awesome. They're very comfortable. So thanks again for Havoc for sponsoring my event, my race, I should say. And if you haven't checked these out, go online. I'll put a link in the description. And if you need some new goggles, definitely go with Havoc. So one more quick announcement before I get on with the race footage. I've been working pretty hard lately. Oh, check out that sexy picture. You can get one of them posters right there. This is my new office, by the way. Anyway, so I've been working on some cool stuff. Look what we got here. You already might know about the Cube, but I've never actually showed them on video here. But look at how sick they look anodized. And I just, oh shoot. So I got these in orange, green, red, blue, black. But I got these. So what do these look like to you? They look like clutch levers, yeah? Brake levers? Well, that's the point, but they're actually bottle openers and a GoPro wrench. So these things are freaking sweet. People have been absolutely eating them up, and I super appreciate all the support with getting those. But basically, opens your bottle. This one's already open. I don't drink, so I just have this as a test bottle, but opens like that. Super easy. Obviously, that was a crap example since it's already all messed up. But yeah, so super cool. GoPro mount, the little screw thing that goes on the end on the plastic part, so you can torque, tighten down, loosen your mounts, make them nice and sturdy. So we got those in a few different colors here, and those are all available on my website, berad-products.com. So go check them out. That link will also be in the description. That's kind of what I've been working on, as well as all the other bike parts and stuff. Of course, all the key tags, you know, the normal shiz. Got some decals, reservoir caps, all that good stuff. Axle sliders we got here for WR450s, WR250s. So I've been putting in a lot of work over the winter because, as you all know, the YouTube thing isn't paying very well right now with anyone. So I gotta kind of make things happen one way or another, and I'm not ready to give up on, you know, running this business and trying to make it happen, doing what I love. So had to change plans a little bit to get things moving. So any support you guys show through that's the best thing you can do if you want me to, you know, put out videos more frequently, because it does cost time and money. Time is money when you're making videos, and if I'm not making money through YouTube directly, it's got to be through something else. So, you know, the more I can sell, the bigger I can grow that end of things, the easier it'll be for me to make videos. Enough with that garbage. Not garbage, it's pretty cool and important. But anyway, let's get going with the actual video.
You're gonna fix your hair?
Shh, you're sleeping, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, look here. Good, you passed the test. Hey, shut up, you're sleeping. Alright, peeps. We are in, by we, I mean Jordan and I, the Niza guy. We're in Indiana, Plymouth, Indiana. and we are here to do our first ever hare scramble together. It's Division 14 under AMA. It's a 2-hour race. I'll talk more about it later, but anyway, we got here tonight, Saturday, races tomorrow on Sunday, so we're camping out in the van tonight. Got the bikes outside chilling, got the pimp lights on, so all is well. Good night.
What? What is... Ooh.
What's up? It's race day, 8:40 a.m. Sunday morning. It is freaking cold out. Zoom in on that. Lens is fogging up, I think. 21 degrees. Oh my gosh. We slept okay considering. Jordan got up like 3 times to pee, so I can't imagine that was very fun. I held it in a little bit until this morning, but hopefully it's gonna warm up. At least the sun's out, so you can tell our bikes are a little frosty. Just a little bit. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting day, but it's supposed to warm up to around 40, and as long as that happens, we should have a really good time. We got the Niza guy warming his feet. Bone chilling cold out. Hey, what are you doing? That's what I thought. Keep walking. Oop, I'm scared if I fart I might poop. Alright, here we are at the start line for my first ever hare scramble race, or for that matter, my first ever off-road race in general. I'll be honest, I was a little nervous with the days leading up to the race, but once I got on the bike here waiting, I honestly wasn't really nervous at all. I had no idea what to expect, how it would go. Here we got a line of bikes heading off. I ended up entering in the Open B class. I didn't know how I was going to go, if I would dominate or come in dead last. I figured I'll just go. It's kind of in that middle group, and we'll see what happens here. So we're about getting ready to start our bikes, just warming up here one last time. Now we're waiting for the flag to drop. Actually, in this case, the flag is raised. But anyway, I wasn't really sure what to do on the start here. I figured if I got the whole shot, rather, if I tried to get the whole shot, I'd get more out toward the front, and I know there were going to be faster guys in this class with me. Oh, and yep, that guy stalled his bike. As I said on Instagram, sorry man for pecking your poop chute with my mud flap. He ended up finding the post and saying that his butt was all good and he wasn't too sore from it. So, A-okay. Glad you're alright. But anyway, if I got the whole shot or close to it up in the first, couple people off the line, I figured I'd push myself a little bit too hard and then get tired out by the time the first lap was even over. So I figured I'd just kind of hang back, take a nice easy start, not try and get in last place, but just kind of let the faster guys filter out in front of me. I wasn't getting in their way, and then also I wouldn't really have to worry about, trying to impress anyone behind me or whatever. So I was just trying to ride my own pace. It's very hard to judge what pace you have to set being your first race, so I had no idea. I did an okay overall job, I think. Maybe a little bit too fast on this first lap. Not this part, but just overall in the whole lap. But overall, I was pretty happy with how I did. I had reasonably consistent lap times and, reasonably consistent riding, with the exception of getting very, very tired the last couple laps. So here it got pretty messy. Obviously, it's very slick. In the morning, as you saw earlier, it was only 20 degrees. So the ground is a little bit frozen still. Fast forward through this while the mud's covering the lens. Not too much on here. I tried to wipe the lens as much as possible. Alright, there we go. Back to a clean lens. So, as I was saying, I didn't want to push it too hard at the start. It's a 2-hour race, and I'm completely out of shape. I've only ridden a couple times in the past month or so before the race, and I was really just kind of messing around, maybe 10-15 minutes at a time of single track or just wide open flat trails where you sit on your butt and don't do a whole lot of work. So it was pretty intense to just get thrown into a pack of people in this pretty tough terrain. It was really sandy. There were a lot of slick spots, some hidden routes, and a reasonably technical course, I would say. It was a good mix of terrain. It was very fun, but very hard, you know, for someone who hasn't really ridden since last fall, not to mention worked out or anything over the winter. So kind of got into the flow So I kind of got into the flow at this point. You know, I wasn't hauling ass or anything, but I definitely didn't feel terribly slow. As you can see, it's already pretty whooped out. This is only the first lap. I was trying to pass that guy, and luckily he got a little caught up there. So yeah, this section was very tough right here. Note that for next lap, there's a little hidden route there, and it almost got me into some pretty big trouble on the second lap. So fun little technical section here. So most of the videos you guys have seen of me riding trails is kind of my 100% pace, and that's typically when I'm only riding for, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes at a time, and then I take a break and I cut out and post the video where it's, you know, really fast riding. Well, I can't do that for 2 hours straight, so pacing was very important for this race, and I knew that going into it, so I figured I'd start slow, and if I figured I was doing okay and had more energy, I would keep going and increase the pace as the race went on. Better that than getting so tired you can't pull your clutch in, you know, by the third lap. So this is kind of my first tricky opponent here, I should say. He was pretty quick in the flat stuff, and I was kind of right on his tail this whole time, but I wasn't quite fast enough to get by him. I'm sure I could have, you know, but I would have expelled way too much energy. So he was pretty consistent in his turning and doing a good job. So I figured I'd just wait behind him, see if he makes a mistake, and then make a pass if that happens. So I tried to get on the inside right there, it looks like. What I noticed is on a lot of the big open kind of grassy areas, people would make passes on me because I don't know what it is, but I didn't have much confidence in going through the fast stuff. But then once we got into this stuff, the tight technical trail, that's usually when I would get right on people's asses and have them move over for me or try and make passes. I think it's just something with lower speed I'm comfortable with. Like I don't really have an issue with going through tight tree gaps and wobbling around. Not that I'm a great rider at single track by any means, but definitely I think better at the tight stuff than I am the wide open third, fourth gear, full throttle through a turn type stuff. So just kept on hanging out behind this guy for a little bit. He was setting a pretty good pace for me. I do end up passing him here pretty soon, I think. So yeah, this course is very fun. If I could go ride this trail on a weekend, I totally would, because a great mix of sand, dirt, you know, some hills, some up and down. Oh, yep, there he goes. I think he heard me behind him and moved over around that tree for me. I think I thought it was a crash at first, but looking back at the video, it does look like he moved over for me. So that's one of the things with hare scramble racing, if you're not familiar with it. You're supposed to kind of yield to a faster person if they're behind you and want to pass. Typically someone will rev the bike or yell whatever they want. And if you hear them doing that, you're supposed to kind of move over to the side, let them go by. So I wasn't being too aggressive. I'd rev the bike later on in the race, but if I was behind someone who I felt was setting a pretty good pace for me, I much preferred to be behind someone kind of following their lead. You have to do a lot less thinking about where the trail's going, etc. Let them do all the mental work, and you just focus on keeping the bike upright. So these whoops were pretty brutal here. Definitely got worse toward the end, but I love that. I make a pass and then instantly hit a tree and get all squirrely. That was a very common thing for me this race. Luckily I got it back together right here. Not too bad. A little slow through there, a little wobbly. This thick sand was very difficult to ride in. I'm used to it from Michigan, but when you haven't really ridden it in, let's say, 6 months, it's definitely something to get used to again. So just trying to figure out the bike, get comfortable on Sandy again. Sandy's the name of my bike, ironic because we're riding the same. Okay, I'll shut up now. So yeah, this technical stuff I just thought was a blast. I love stuff like that where you're just weaving in and out of trees and just trying to keep momentum more so than hammering on the gas. You can tell I'm staying pretty low in the RPM through most of the race, really. And part of that was to conserve fuel. Oh, and alright, I'll get back to that later. So here, there's the trail split, but it wasn't marked on the left side, so we figured we were going off the path and it wouldn't meet back up. Well, it turns out, if you do follow that, it meets right back up right there where I just passed. So we would have been okay, wasted a little bit of time there, but I would rather be safe than sorry and get lost and not be able to pick the trail back up. I watched the video from the winner of the expert class of this race, which, by the way, you should go watch that because it's absolutely insane how fast he's going. And he actually made that same mistake on his first lap and got confused and took that same path through the trees that we did. So I was feeling pretty good at this point. I was making some passes, just shooting for some slow progress. I was trying to ride clean, smooth, not make any mistakes. Right here I let a faster rider go by. Of course, get sprayed with a little bit of mud there. But what I kind of liked about it, he was on my tail, and I could, tell he wasn't that much faster, but he was definitely riding a quicker pace than me. So I let him go by, and I kind of liked it because then like I said earlier, I have someone to follow, and it kind of makes riding a little easier for me. So it's kind of nice to have someone up front. You don't feel like you're all alone by yourself. It kind of gets your adrenaline going a bit. It shows your competition and kind of gives you a benchmark pace to set and to keep up with. Unfortunately, after the first lap, well, I think really from this point on, for the next couple laps, I felt like I was pretty much riding alone. I passed some people that were way slower or stopped next to the trail, but for the most part, it was, so a photographer captured me hitting that tree right there. I'll post the picture up right here. Pretty comical. The only solo shot taken of me during the race from a photographer, and it happens to be me fumbling, looking like an idiot, but that's okay. We embrace the awkwardness and we joke about it, we have fun with it, and we carry on. Mistakes were made. So yeah, that's the other thing. I think that guy that I just passed a couple seconds back there, I think he was kind of feeling pressured from me and probably tensed up a little bit, so he pulled off there and he looked like he was completely drained, and that's kind of how I feel when someone's behind me right on my tail, is that I almost try too hard and then I get more exhausted, I make more mistakes. So either being by myself or trying to catch up to someone else definitely seemed to be the better tactic for me. I do apologize about the crappy audio quality. I'm using a little clip-on mic for a GoPro, and for some reason it's just not recording great quality audio. I don't know what to do about it. I apologize. I'll try and figure something out better next time. So here we are, finishing up the first lap, coming through the gate. They did have a problem with the transponders, so I was talking to the winner of that expert class again, and he said that we actually ended up doing one more lap than we were supposed to. So it's supposed to be a 2-hour race plus 1 lap, and it ended up being a 2-hour race plus 2 laps for the lead rider. So I'll let you guys know how that kind of screwed me up in terms of expelling too much energy once we get to that point. So this was super slick here. As you can tell, it's very kind of grassy. It's not even very torn up yet, and it was pretty hard ground. It wasn't, I wouldn't say it's icy, but it was definitely frozen a bit. So I kind of just took this to chill. Right here I take a water break, which is kind of the stretch I always did because it's nice and smooth. Then right back on the gas right here. A little wheelie for the people, which completely gave me arm pump and everything. Oh yeah, it was brutal. I don't know why I almost every time blew that turn there. Just wasn't looking ahead enough. So again, going pretty slow through this wide open stuff. It's very slippery right here, as you'll see in a couple seconds. My first stupid little mistake. Little tip over there. Luckily, I was able to keep the bike running and obviously didn't damage anything. Basically just set it down, but it was incredibly slippery right there. So that's the first, I would say, of quite a few stupid mistakes that cost me a lot of time. So here we have, I think, the guy right ahead of me. He was either a really fast B rider who got caught behind some people, or he was one of the A-class riders that, or expert class riders that lapped me. Because he did just pass me before I cut the video here, and now he's trying to get around some other B, I believe, yeah, they must have been B-class riders, same class that I was in. But this dude is hauling when he had no resistance in front of him. So I tried to kind of keep pace with him a little bit while he was working on passing those other guys. And it worked, but of course I don't have the physical capabilities at that time to hold that pace for very long. There was a pretty clean turn for me. It's very hard. I'm not used to motocross. I do all, you know, skinnier trail stuff, and usually it's pretty well groomed. So you come to something like this where you have hundreds of passes going around one turn within, you know, 2 laps or whatever. You get these really kind of crazy squiggly ruts, and they're very hard to follow. So turns like that I felt pretty happy with when I could just kind of stay smooth and consistent through them. See a little shaky through there. My back end was sliding around like crazy. Yeah, I found when I pushed it through these open areas, it actually tired me out a lot more than trying to go fast in the tight stuff. And I think a lot of it is because you get the big whoops, kind of like you see there. And when you're just hauling through the big whoops, it tires you out a lot. Okay, so here, right there, there's a root going across the trail that I hit, and I almost just ate it right here and biffed it into a bunch of trees. That's the place, the spot I said from the first lap to watch out for in the next lap. So that was kind of the pace of the expert riders were going through there. Of course, they did it much more clean and consistent and didn't lose all their momentum afterwards like I am here, being completely exhausted from trying not to die. But yeah, that was kind of scary, but at least I didn't hit any trees. So I think by this point I was really getting tired. That guy was, I don't know why he kept crowding people around that turn so much. So it looks like we're finishing up lap 2 here. Nice and slow through the gate, make sure the transponder gets me. I wasn't trying to accelerate too hard out of there and just fling mud at all the officials and timekeepers and stuff. So also it puts a lot more. It's very tiring when you're just pinning it everywhere and not being in very good physical shape. I figured just smooth acceleration, try and keep momentum rather than using, oh, and there we go, rather than using momentum. So that was my first kind of hard crash. But again, I was able to pick the bike up pretty easily, get right back going. Of course, you can tell in the video, my handlebars are pretty darn crooked, and I was not about to try and keep riding like that. So, mistake number 2, that cost me quite a bit of time. And as you can see, quite a few positions, as there's about 5 people passing me while I'm fixing it. So, luckily I was able to jerk the bars back into position, and they seem to be straight enough to ride the rest of the race without noticing it too much. I think at this point I was getting a sip of water and wasting more time, but I was exhausted from picking the bike up and getting off and all that, so I figured I'd give myself a little bit of a break, try and recoup, get back to focusing. Sucking down some more water here. Oh, and then of course right after that, make another stupid mistake. I didn't realize there were 4 guys trying to pass me. I think this is where the expert and A-class guys started to lap me. So I stalled the bike right in the middle of the trail and inconvenienced those guys a lot. I feel really bad. Sorry guys, didn't mean to do that. Caught me off guard. I only thought there were one of you guys coming. But it did give me another good kind of second wind once those faster riders got up ahead of me. Kept pace with them for a little bit. Of course, not very long. That was probably the most sketchy part of the course right there. Incredibly rough and bumpy, and they were just like braking whoops, I should say. They're bigger than bumps. And oh man, even standing, the seat would just pound you in the gooch. Pretty sloppy through that section. It was pretty muddy and rutted, and as this whole video goes on, I just get more and more tired. There's that root bump section. So that was the route I just went over there. I'm pretty positive this guy hit that and probably went ass over at front and hit a tree there, kind of like I almost did on the second lap. So there we go, pretty tight tree gap right there. That one was always fun to go through. Just trying to hold steady pace at this point. I did, from those crashes, get a lot of sand in my gloves, and as you'll see later on, my hands were completely torn up by the end. My gloves were soaked in blood all the way through, the whole palm, thumbs, everything was just soaked in blood. So, close call right there. Not sure how I kept it up. Lost the front end and some greasy stuff. And then, I think at this point I was getting a little frustrated because I was making a lot of mistakes. I was just getting so tired, and you know, my hands were fatiguing. At some points I could barely pull my clutch in. Almost whiskey throttled a couple times. I was having a real hard time holding it together in terms of physical condition. I think my riding skill would have allowed me to be a little more competitive. It's just the fact that I was getting so tired that I couldn't ride to my best ability. I was getting sloppy. You know, a lot of excuses basically is what I'm saying. So unfortunately, not all of the race got recorded, only the first hour and 35 minutes did. And then the battery died, which is longer than I expected. I only expected about an hour's worth of footage, so it was nice to get that extra half hour. But I think it covered the first full 3 laps and then a little bit of the 4th. Yeah, so here we're coming up, finishing lap 3, going through the gate. And this is where I make my really, really dumb decision coming up here in a sec. Just hold out. Oh, well, this is one almost mess up right here. Got really nasty. I think I punched that tree. Somehow kept it up, though. Didn't really slow me down. But here we go. This is just absolutely stupid. I was going through this line, and the same rut I went through, and here we go. Sweet. So there we go. Stuck in a 2-foot deep rut. My pegs are dug into the ground. I can't reach my shift lever. I think I was in 4th gear at the time, and it was just going nowhere. So I honestly at this point thought I was just screwed and the bike was going to be stuck or sucked mud up in the intake, something like that. But luckily these awesome guys, these awesome bystanders came right over to help and lifted the bike out. As you can see, it was like suctioned in there. There was no way I was getting it out by myself. So huge shout out to those guys. You're awesome. Could not have gotten out of that without you. But yeah, all those guys that I just passed me back, so that's not cool. I'm sure some of those guys were lapping me also, but there were a few that I passed right before there. Definitely not that guy who was hauling. And there must be one of the A or expert riders absolutely shredding past me. Gotta hand it to those guys. I don't think I've ever claimed to be a great rider in any discipline. Contrary to what people might think, I have some big ego, but really, I'd say it's more people on my Instagram and YouTube commenting about how fast I am, and then I usually try and defend myself saying, no, I'm not fast, not compared to other guys. Although I do appreciate people saying that, I don't think everyone realizes exactly how fast you can be through the woods, and I am not one of those people. I aspire to be that quick someday, but I definitely have a lot of work to do before I get to that point. There we go, letting another fast guy pass. Again, helping me kind of set pace, even though he was trying to get around these slower riders, which I was also working on passing. But he gave me a nice little ticket to pass through them. So I tried keeping up with him, and obviously he's already gone in 2 or 3 turns. So that didn't last very long. Not sure what that guy was doing. But kind of got another little burst of energy right here, a little motivation from that faster guy that passed me. I think about right here, once the whoops started coming into play, all of that excitement and adrenaline turned into just sheer exhaustion and lack of coordination. It was getting pretty brutal, pretty whooped out and rutted, and all that kind of firmer sand got broken up into just super deep, soft stuff, and controlling the front end and getting enough traction to power through up some of these little tiny hills was just very difficult to do. There you go, letting a few more guys pass. So this was interesting. This guy right here in front of me, I think we switched positions probably 4 or 5 times. Every time we were in the fast stuff, the open stuff, he would be cruising ahead of me. I kind of blocked him off before I let him go in right there, which I should have held him off just until we got him here, because once we got into the tight stuff, I was just a little bit faster than he was, and I could have made up a lot of ground, but instead I let him pass. So mistakes were made, but that's okay. We were running a reasonably equal pace for a while, except for right there. Like I said, back on the wide open stuff, he makes a lot of progress on me, but then once we get back to here, I catch right up. So it was kind of fun. We had a little battle for pretty much a whole lap, I think. And then right here is where you can tell he's definitely getting tired and maybe a little frustrated with the sloppy riding, kind of like I was earlier. So yeah, there he waves me by. I think knowing that I was antsy to get ahead of him in that technical stuff. And then I think here he kind of fell off through all these whoops, which can't give the guy crap because they were absolutely brutal, and I was fighting really, really hard to just keep some momentum through them. Oh yeah, right here, it just looks painful. I started getting so whooped out by this point. How you feeling?
Very sore and very tired.
Yeah, you look like it. Well, since it took forever to get our race results, because the transponders were messed up, they made a mistake where they actually had the race go longer than it was supposed to go. I didn't actually record anything because I was too tired and just wanted to drive home. But I ended up getting 16th place in B class, Open B, which I guess it's maybe not quite as good as I expected, but I'm definitely not unhappy with it. Being my first race and being completely out of shape, not having any idea what kind of pace to go, I can't complain. That's kind of right in the middle of everyone in that class. And I was 81st overall out of about 200 people who finished the race and a little over 200 who entered. So some people didn't even finish the race. Yeah, you know, I kind of, I guess, put right in the middle group. So I think B class is a good choice. It was a good challenge, and it gives me something to work toward for winning the next time. Big things I learned is don't make dumb mistakes like getting stuck in mud holes. Also, since they did have the race go on a lap longer than it was supposed to, it really messed me up. I ended up thinking I was on my last lap and basically pushing all my energy out. And then I don't come through the gate and there's no checkered flag. So I know I'm like, oh, so I got one more lap to go? Are you kidding me? So that kind of messed me up. But my mistake because I wasn't really paying attention, I guess, to what the officials were indicating at the gate. So my mistake. Got to try and fall less, be in better shape, and you know, pick better lines, stuff like that. But otherwise, I'm happy with the race. It was a good time, and got nothing to complain about. So I came out uninjured, bike's uninjured, and that's all I could ask for. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about how I set up this video. I didn't really want to talk while I was riding because that wastes way too much energy, and I'm no shade tree surgeon here, superhuman who can narrate as I'm riding and racing. I honestly, Josh, I don't know how the hell you do that. That's you're a maniac. So let me know what you guys think. I had a lot of fun making the video and going to the race. Also, one last time, check out Havoc Racing. Check out their goggles. Go get a pair. And also, please go check out my website, www.berad-products.com, and look for posters, the bottle openers, the cubes, all that cool stuff. It'll really help in me doing more of these videos and more races and stuff. So I'm going to post the full, raw, uncut footage, I think, of the race, the whole hour and a half, hopefully pretty soon after you see this video. So watch out for that and more content to come. Thanks for watching.